So we can rule out a cable encapsulation issue. That means the problem is happening at layer 3 or above. Good. Now we know where to focus. So now let's check the OSPF neighbor relationship. So let's do a show IP OSPF neighbor. Okay. So here, notice something interesting here. Router 1 does see router 3 as the OSPF neighbor, but it does not see router 2. You know how we know that? We do not see 2222. So the router IDs are as follows: 1111 for router 1, 2222 for router 2, 3333 for router 3. Okay? So this tells us the specific issue is a link between R1 and R2. So let's dig deeper. Now let's figure exactly what each router is advertising to OSPF. We'll use two commands. First, we'll do show IP route. Make that a little easier. Show IP route connected, the connected routes. Okay. This shows us every directionally connected network on R1. You can see 192.168.2.0/30 subnet. That's the network connecting R1 serial 000 interface to R2 serial 001 interface. That network must be advertised in OSPF for the two routers to become neighbors. Now let's check what OSPF is actually advertising. Okay. Now let's do show IP protocols, I guess we could. Okay. We have the process ID, the router ID, and then we have the networks that it is advertising in there, the subnet and area. Okay. Here's where we spot the problem. Look at the networks being advertised by OSPF on router 1. R1 is advertising 192.168.2.4/30, but that subnet is not connected to R1. The correct subnet that connects R1 to R2 is 192.168.2.0/30. Someone entered the wrong network statement, right? So router 1 needs these two, needs 2.8/30 and 2.0/30, right? Not 2.4/30. That's over here. These two routers 2 and 3 need that. Router 1 doesn't need that. So let's fix that. So the culprit is router 1. It's not advertising the correct subnet, so R2 has no way to form an adjacency with it. So let's fix it. We need to remove the incorrect network statement and add the correct one. So let's go router conft router OSPF 10. Now we're going to go no network 192.168.2.4 0.0.0.3 area 0. Oh, fat fingered that. Gotta watch out for that. Oops. No network. Now we're going to go network 192.168.2.0.000.3 area 0. Now that should work. The no network command removes the incorrect advertisement, and then we added the correct 192.168.2.0 network with the wildcard of 0003, which matches the /30 subnet in area 0. Okay, now you'll notice here is the syslog message. Loading, change from loading to full. That means it's working. We want it to be in the full state. We're just going to do WR there, make it easy. But yeah, okay, so we're seeing OSPF start exchanging hello packets almost immediately after making this change. Watch and just continue. And like I said, I pointed out the syslog message, and you'll see it there. Cool. So that's good. Easy, boom, done. Now, for our next trick, let's verify the adjacency is now formed, actually. So let's confirm that R1 and R2 are now neighbors. So let's go exit out of that. Let's do a show IP OSPF neighbor command. Boom, beautiful. Before we only saw 3333, now we see 2222 and the correct IP addresses. Now we can see our router 2 and router 3 listed as OSPF neighbors. They show in a full state, which means the adjacency is now established and the link state databases have been synchronized. Love that. Now let's verify that from R2's perspective. Okay, so to show IP OSPF neighbor, same deal. And what do you know? We can see the router ID of R1, and it's in a full state. That's exactly what we want. That's actually something we probably should have done from the beginning, was check this command, that same command in R2, but what are you going to do? We got it. We fixed it. So we're good there. Easy, boom, done. Okay, router 2 shows router 1 and router 3 as neighbors in a full state. Now let's verify routing between router 1 and router 2. So let's do on R1. Let's do show IP route. There we go. We should see R2's LAN network of 172.16.20.0/24 learned via OSPF with a next hop of 192.168.2.2 on serial 000. If you see that, routing is working in the right direction. 172.16.20/24, 192.168.2.2. Boom. There she is. Love that. All right. So now we can do the same thing on R2. Okay, and here we see R1's LAN 10.0.10/24 learned via OSPF with a next hop of 192.168.2.1 on serial 001. Right? So we see that 192.168.2.1, 0001, which is good. There we go. That's what we're looking for. 10.0.10/24. Nice. Okay. So both routers have learned each other's networks. Everything is working exactly as it should. That is great. And as you can see, lab is 100%. So let's do a quick recap of what we found and fixed in the lab. So to recap what we did in this lab, we started with a network where OSPF was not functioning correctly and approached the problem systematically rather than immediately changing configurations. First, we identified the symptoms and verified basic layer 1 and layer 2 connectivity. From there, we checked IP addressing and interface status before moving into OSPF-specific troubleshooting. We used commands like show IP OSPF neighbor, show IP protocols, show IP OSPF interface, and show IP route to determine where OSPF adjacencies were forming and whether the expected routes were actually being learned. Once we isolated the configuration issue, we corrected it and then verified the fix, not just by checking that the OSPF neighbor relationship came up, but by confirming that the expected OSPF routes appeared in the routing table and that we had end-to-end connectivity. And that's really the main takeaway from this lab. Troubleshooting isn't about randomly entering commands until something works. Each command should answer a specific question and help narrow down the failure domain. Start with connectivity. Verify the configuration, inspect the routing protocol, identify the root cause, make the smallest necessary change, and then verify that the network is actually functioning as expected. That's the troubleshooting methodology I'm practicing throughout this series. Now, that's really it, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, leave a like, leave a comment. If you haven't any troubleshooting methodologies of your own or any packet tracer topics that you'd like to see me tackle in the future, let me know. And otherwise, come level up with me in the next video.